Canada falls 1-0 to Australia in a highly anticipated return to the province of Quebec, to Montreal, in front of a sold-out Stade Saputo Stadium, and Canada disappointed. Canada failed and did not perform as we expected. This was a very poor Canada performance against Australia, and it showed the flaws within this Canadian men's national team, and it also showed the flaws within Jesse Marsch and sometimes his tactical setups, but it also showed the cracks beneath the surface, and that really came out to play when Canada failed to break down a low block once again. When Canada is asked to control possession, dictate play, and hold the ball and break down the opposition, they can't do that. They seemingly have proved once again that this Canadian side, when not being able to use the pace, the transition, and their quickness in their style of play, they cannot break down a quality side that is resilient and strong defensively. They cannot play that killer and final pass. Yes, there was chances from Tajon Buchanan. Yes, Cyle Larin should have done a lot better with what he was given in that first half. And yes, the chances came within that second half. But Canada proved they can't break down this lower block. Australia came in, set up in a 5-4-1 system. No worries, no needs or means of controlling possession, winning the ball up high of the pitch. Australia were never going to do that. They were going to be a strong, resilient, defensive side that were going to sit back, soak up pressure, bend and not break, and let Canada come at them. And they did just that. And Canada never could find the answer. There was a lot of probing within that final third, a lot of it. Moving the ball around the back four, moving it around the midfield. Ismail Kone, Nathan Saliba doing a fantastic job of just rotating play, rotating possession. But Canada couldn't find that final pass. And something Canada truly needs to do in games like this is what I believe is play the ball quicker, play it faster, play 1-2s within possession, little intricate passes, which is what Ismail Kone tried to do, what Tawny and Promise David tried to do. You have to be quicker in possession, make that Australian backline and midfield move around a little bit, make those defenders turn their back, play that ball a bit faster, and Canada just didn't do that this match, and when they did, they had a bit of success, and Canada needs to be able to break down a low block, especially heading into a 2026 World Cup, because teams are going to realize this. Teams are going to use this as a blueprint and use this against Canada. Because when did this last happen? When was Canada out-tacticked? When was Canada not able to break down a low block? That was in a major game, a must-win opportunity in a semi-final of the Nations League against Mexico, against L3. When L3 scored very early, Canada had to go and dictate play. Canada had to go and control possession and break down Mexico, and they didn't do that. Another night comes in that opportunity against Australia, and they can't do it again. Canada looked like they're running out of ideas. Canada looked like they couldn't figure out how to break down Australia. And it looked exactly like that L3 and Mexico game all over again. And yes, there was chances for Canada. Of course there was. And Promise David absolutely changed that game. And there was still decent positives to come from this. But it was a quiet game from Canada. No cut through, concrete chances until the last 10-15 minutes in that game. And that shouldn't be happening on home field in a return to a province where so many of these players come from. So many of these fans came out to support this Canadian men's national team, and they got a flat, a deceitful, and a poor performance from this Canada team. And yes, I might be going on them a bit too hard, and I apologize, but this is a reaction. This is my true feelings after the game, and I think a lot went wrong. A lot could have been changed, and Jesse Marsch, I think, got it wrong as well. Going with Cyle Larin up front and Jonathan David, they'd like to really use the same space, use the same area of the football pitch. And what Jesse Marsch decided to do and change in this game was use Cyle Larin as the number 9, the forward-thinking number 9. And instead of playing Jonathan David next to him, beside him as a 4-2-2 or a 4-4-2 like Jesse Marsch does a lot with his tactics, he changed it up. He let Cyle Larin play as the forward-thinking focal point number 9, and Jonathan David kind of played as a shadow striker behind Cyle Larin, using him in the press, using him in possession to try to play through Jonathan David instead of having him as the lead man. And that is not how you use an elite starting striking number 9. And when you have someone like Tanya Lawase, Promise David, off of Jonathan David, it works a lot better. We've noticed that against Romania, against Wales. The build-up play, the transition against Ukraine, against Cote d'Ivoire, it has been so much better than when Cyle, Larin, and Jonathan David are on the pitch together because they occupy the same space. They want to do the same things with the ball. That is why Cyle, Larin coming off the bench for Jonathan David makes a lot more sense. I can understand that a bit more. When you play them together, it doesn't make sense. And then you have to change up tactically. You have to change up how you want to press. You have to change up how you want to set up this Canadian side. And it just didn't work for me. And again, when was the last time Jesse Marsch tried to do something different tactically? It was against Mexico. Jonathan Osorio played as right midfielder, and they didn't get anything going that game again as well. For me, there was a lot of similarities to that game against Out3, against that game against Mexico. And there's a lot from this Australia game that you can compare to that Mexico game, which is very scary because that was another terrible, another flat, and a poor performance from the Canaman. And yes, these games will come. Yes, these blips will come. But we have to remember, this is against an incredible Australia side. They have a very strong back line, very good manager, resilient defensively, and they showed it here against Canada. But what is scary is this came against a World Cup opponent. This came up against a nation that Canada doesn't get to play that often. And a style of play where Canada struggles against. They played against Romania, who are looking like they might not be a World Cup lock. Played against Wales, who might not be at the World Cup. Ukraine probably will. Cote d'Ivoire probably will. But Canada has a big test at home against Australia. You're not against opposition fans, where you will be on Tuesday against Colombia, and Canada looked flat. Canada didn't play as we expected. And hopefully we see a bounce back against Colombia, but the system, the style will be a lot different. You'll be playing a Colombian side who will be hitting you with possession, and Canada will be breaking on the transition. So this game against Australia was very disappointing, very flat, and very poor to watch from a Canadian perspective. But I still think there was a few positives to take from this performance. Yes, tactically, I believe Jesse Marsch got it wrong with how he set this team up, almost in a 4-2-3-1 system, with Jonathan David playing as a number 10 and Cyle Larin playing as a focal point number 9. As well as Cyle Larin being on the pitch, I thought that was a very poor decision, as well as how this Canadian team played and how they looked to break down a back 5, a back 4, and they really struggled to move that ball quickly. There's a lot of flaws, a lot of things that need to be worked on and changed when playing a side that is letting you break them down. And hopefully Jesse Marsch and Canada can take these flaws and improve on them. But let's move into some positives. Let's move into the match ratings. And let's jump straight into my match ratings. Let's start with Maxime Crépeau. Maxime Crépeau is going to get an average 6. What could he have done better? What could he have done wrong? He didn't have much to face. Maxime Crépeau, for me, gets a 6. Commanded his box very well. Made some high claims. A great punch in the first half. Couldn't have really done much about that goal. It came from a very poor mistake from Nico Sigor, and there's not much Maxime Crépeau could have done. Moving on to Nico Sigor, I'm going to give him a 5, unfortunately. I thought he was very good on the ball at times within the first half, controlling very well with Tajon Buchanan, giving him some great passes down the line, creating a chance for him in the first half. And then that goal, very disappointing, very unfortunate to see. In football, you have to stay switched on the full 90 minutes, and Nico Sigor didn't do that. He saw Aaron Kunda on his shoulder, knew he was there, tried to take an extra touch, tried to continue it under pressure, and just failed to do that. For me, he has to get a 5 match rating. I'll give Joel Waterman a 6.5, a 6. I thought in the first half he was very good, very strong, very sharp in possession, very strong in a challenge, very good aerially. The second half, it completely dropped off. There was a lot of ball watching, not being able to track his man, not following the runner, and it just fell off for me for Joel Waterman. If he continued his first half like he did in the second half, it could have been an 8. But his first half was very good. His second half was very poor. For me, he gets about a 6 match rating. Derek Cornelius, it wasn't one of his better performances defensively. There was some ball watching going on, some strong tackles, but it wasn't his best game in terms of a performance. And that could be down to the lack of chemistry he has with Joel Waterman. Building very good chemistry with Luc de Fougerolles. There's some questionable lineup selections between Joel Waterman, Cyle Larin, and that could have been it for Derek Cornelius, not having the chemistry as much with Joe Waterman in a back four, having it with Luke DeFougerolles might have changed how this back line played and looked throughout the 90. I thought Richie Larin had a very good performance. I'd give him a 7. Got in front of a lot of Australian faces, caused a lot of commotion, made some good runs. I just say it has to be a bit quicker in the final third from Richie Larin. Tajon Buchanan had a great performance. I'd give him about a 7.5 in the first half, was my man of the match. He had a good performance, getting at the Australian back line, creating chances, using his quickness, his directness, his pace to get at the side. The midfield too with Nathan Saliba and Ismail Kone. Saliba played very well, controlling the ball. Both of the midfielders didn't really put a foot wrong. Both played very well. For me, I'd give Saliba a 7 and Kone a 7.5. And I would say he was my man of the match. Ismail Kone was very good, getting on the ball, controlling things, dictating play, and really was Canada's heartbeat within that midfield. And it's great to see that him and Saliba can play together very strongly. But the fact you have that much creativity within the midfield and can't create a clear-cut chance is a real problem, even though Kone looked like he was going to score throughout this match. Ali Ahmed looked good, but needs to play that ball into the box a bit faster for me. I think he can beat his man very quickly, very decisively, but when he beats that man, I think he's got to inside, outside, and then swing it in. He's got to get that ball in right when he beats his man, instead of taking that extra touch, taking that extra second to try and beat his man. For me, nothing against Cyle Larin. I think he could be a great super sub for Canada coming off the bench for Jonathan David, but I'd give him about a 4 this game. He was not great, very slow in possession, missed a very easy header. Yes, it wasn't one that you could say he has to score, but it's a free header off a great delivery from Ali Ahmed. He had another chance within this match. Let the ball get stuck in his feet a few times. The runs weren't there. There was a few times where Tajon played the ball into the box, a very good delivery, and Cyle Larin wasn't anticipating or making that run for Canada, where it would have delivered probably a goal or a great shot opportunity for Cyle Larin. Lacked the pace, lacked a bit of the match sharpness. Cyle Larin was just a step behind me. I'd give him a 4. Jonathan David gets for me a 7. I thought he was trying his best to get on the ball, wasn't able to, and it was down to the system and not down to Jonathan David today. For me, Luke DeFougerolles came onto the pitch. It's very hard to grade a defender who came on in a 1-0 loss, who didn't really have much to do. Thought he did well when he came on. A little bit of ball watching. I would give him a 6 as well. Mathieu Choinière, I'll give him a 6, doing exactly what the rest of the midfield did. Liam Miller was hard to get a gauge on him because he wasn't on the side where they were trying to force the ball to. When he did get the ball, created some chances with the ball into the box and looked very clean in possession. The front three in Jacob Schaffelberg and Promise David and Taniyo Luase. We have to talk about this. Jacob Schaffelberg has to score his chance. I'm giving him a 5. This is a game-changing chance. He scores this within the 89th, the 88th minute, around that. He's got to put it away. He's got to finish his opportunity. That is a sitter. That is a appalling missed chance. And yes, it is coming to him. It is a great opportunity, and he has to put that within one of the corners, within one of the sides of the goals. Not down the middle of the goal where their goalkeeper is going to be. He has to finish that down the sides. That is a goal-scoring opportunity that changes the game. This is where this Canadian men's national team has to be clinical and has to go out there and put those chances away, especially in a World Cup. And Jacob Schaffelberg came on and did not have a great performance. For me, Promise David was a match changer, was a game changer. This is why him and Tani have to play, have to get more minutes, especially ahead of Cyle Larin. Promise David came onto this match later in this game when he should have played right from the start. Promise David came on, had 3 brilliant chances, deserved to score in this game. Cut back from Tajon Buchanan. Promise David hits it very crisply, deflection, bobbles towards the goalkeeper. A very fortunate save, should have been 1-0. Later on, a great headed chance from a corner. Promise David had a very good game. Takes a fake shot, creates a chance for himself, great save by the goalkeeper. Promise David proved why he should be starting for Canada, and hopefully can get that opportunity against Colombia. And if not, it should be Taniyo Luase, who I give them both 7.5s, 7 match ratings. Tani had a great chance off that corner that hit the post. His 1-2s with Promise David were very intricate. He deserves to play. We have 2 strikers off the bench who both deserved and have great stocks and deserve a chance at starting for this Canadian men's national team. And it baffled me when I saw this roster came out. It baffled me when I saw this lineup come out that Tony or Promise David wasn't starting next to Jonathan David. Cyle Larin has to become a super sub. He has to become someone who comes on for Jonathan David. We've seen it so many times throughout the years, especially under Jesse Marsh and how he wants to press, that Cyle Larin takes up the space that Jonathan David wants and acquires when he plays up front, and they bump into each other. And that is why the formation and tactically he changed, and I'll be going on about that for some time. But it really changed how Canada played within possession within the final third. It was almost like Jesse Marsh tried to really change it up to be able to break down this low block, when I think if you go with Tawny, when you go with Promise David, give that more clinical finishing. Let Jonathan David go a bit further up the pitch. Let Ismail Kone and Nathan Saliba work their way through the midfield on their own without an extra body in there that they're not used to. I think it changes the game. And yes, of course, my prediction of 3-0 was wild. It was crazy. It was hopefully expecting that this Canadian team could turn up against a resilient Australian side and send a message in front of our Prime Minister Mark Carney, in front of a sold-out Stade Saputo, and give an electric performance to a province that deserved it. But that failed. That did not happen. And realistically, Canada should be doing a lot better. Canada deserved 2 goals in this game. Yes, you could say they didn't, but Jacob Schaffelberg deserved a score. We deserved a penalty. Cyle Larin had a free header. There were opportunities there for Canada within this game. But what you have to remember is, the better chances came when Promise David was on the football pitch. And I'll leave you with that. And remember, guys, this is a raw match reaction. I'm filming this a few minutes after the game has ended. Emotions are high. Everything's going through my head. I haven't rewatched the game. Let me know your thoughts down below in the comments. I'd love to hear what you guys have to say down below. Of course, my head's going a million miles a second. Didn't expect that result, and it's truly taken me by a surprise. Just like that lineup did. Just like those tactics did. But there were still pauses on that pitch to take, such as Nathan Saliba, Ismail Kone, Promise David, Luc de Fougerolles, as well as others. There was still positives. We have to look at the bright side and look at the negatives as well. There's going to be bumps in the road. There's going to be unfortunate results, and we just have to keep a level head and move on to Colombia. Because if we have a different lineup, if we have our strongest team and play better football and somehow get a result against one of the best teams in South America, one of the best international teams out there, it would be massive, and it would just slide this result a little bit to the back of the mind. Let me know your guys' thoughts down below in the comments, guys. I'll leave you with that. We'll be back for more content. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Smash that like button. It really helps with the content, guys. Hit that sub as we continue to build an incredible Canadian men's national team community on the channel. I might even change the channel name to my personal name in Lane Joseph TV. Let me know what you guys think about that. Hit the comments down below. Truly appreciate all the support in the channel, guys. Everyone, it was amazing, and let's continue to build and this unbelievable community, and I'll see you guys for the next one. Peace.